So let us try as much as we can to walk through. Having said that, you could see my name, I'm Juliet Inegbedio. I'm to take you through value chain. This is an important aspect when we are dealing with business. We need to know the level or the aspect within the business in which we are coming in and the value that we need to add. Like one of the facilitators yesterday did mention a little bit of this during his process of explanation, talking about the value you are going to add to what you are doing. What is that value? Because if there is no value that you are adding, then your business is not likely to grow. Your business is not likely to move on. There must be a particular value that your business stands to add to what you are already doing or with what is already in existence in the environment. So when you're talking about value chain, here our focus for this meeting is we want to see how you can analyze your value chain business regarding the primary and the secondary part of your value chain. How will you analyze it to support your activities, to look out for leakages, and to add value? Then again, we are going to evaluate the value chain in an identified business. When we get there, I'm going to give you opportunity to tell me where your value chain lies in the business you are doing. How is that business going to add value to your prospective customers or clients? So we're going to look at all that. Again, we're going to have record. How do we keep our records? Because you observe that in most cases, some businesses fold up because they have no records. And when you have no records, then it means you will not be able to capture or keep track of everything that you are doing. So in this regard, record keeping is key. Then there are some of us, we say we keep records. The question is, what kind of records are we keeping? Because if you keep record and the record is not adequately kept, it's as good as not keeping any records. So this is our focus. And by the end of this topic, we will look at it and see whether we're able to achieve this or not. If we are not able to achieve it, please ask us questions. Now, when you talk about value chain model, it's a model that is used in every business, big or small. It's a model that was proposed by somebody called Michael Porter. And what is he looking at? It's looking at every activity that is being carried out in a business, the process you go through in a business, how this process is able to drive what you are doing. And in this case, it starts from the raw material form. For example, if I am selling shoe, I choose to be doing buying and selling of shoes. That shoe has a source that is coming from. There is the raw material is coming from somewhere before it gets to the production stage, before it gets to the point in which you are able to get the shoes out the way it ought to be. And before from the manufacturer, you take it off from there, and now you want to sell it to the consumers. So there is a process that you need to go through in all this. Now, again, we would look at the primary or the support activities. Now, looking at the primary aspect of it, you are looking at the origin of that particular product down to the finished period when the product will be used. That is the value. You are looking at all the activities that is involved. Still making an example with the shoe that I did mention. You are looking at where the hide and skin is coming from that you might use to do your shoe. If it is rubber, where it's coming from that you use to do your shoe, down to where the shoe will be worn, will be used by the consumers. So within this chain, these activities, at what point are you coming in? And what is the added value that you need to bring in? Some persons may choose to just be working on the hides and skin. That is what they'll be interested in. Some of them will be interested in processing the skin of the animals that you are going to use for the material, that is the shoe. That is what they are interested in. Some might be interested in getting the finished product to the consumer. But in all this chain that you are doing, the question is, at what value, added value, is that business that you are doing going to add to that chain, the value chain that we're talking about? If your business has no value, then I may not have a need of patronizing you. I was discussing with somebody yesterday. I stay in Abuja, and among the breads in Abuja, you have ShopRite this. I tend to prefer this Nest bread. I could drive a distance to go to Nest and buy their bread. Then if you eat any other bread, for me, I find a difference. So they have added value to their bread making. That is why you see people like us, we always drive distance to go and get their bread, whereby you can easily get a bread just by your side there. So if right now, maybe I'm a bread seller, I buy Nest, I buy from ShopRite, I buy other kinds of bread, I put them in my shop, I must be able to know which one that people are going for more and why. And that will help you define your value chain system. Now, remember I did say, if you look at the next bullet, there must be an added value. There must be a marginal added value. If there is no added value, then there is no reason why I will leave every other product, every other brand I have been using to come for the brand you are selling. I have no reason. So if you are going to have that your value chain, I'm still using bread. If your bread, I come to your shop, you use one kind dirty wrapper like that to cover your bread, even though it's Nest, I may not be interested because you have not given me an extra value than the one I will buy elsewhere. So for every of your business, there must be added value. There must be something that will make your customers to come to you, that will attract them to you. Because for the position you are taking, you might not be the manufacturer. You might be buying from one end and you are selling to the other. You are acting as intermediary. But even in that product you are interested in, you must find out the value chain of the product and know where you are coming in and the competitive advantage you are going to have. Now, when you measure your value chain adequately and you do it well, it's going to serve two things for you. One, it will help you determine your strength. And at the same time, it will help you determine your weakness. Because at the time you draw out your value chain, if it's well determined, one, you will know maybe the type of business you need to invest into. Secondly, you might know, oh, this is why my customers are no more patronizing me, because maybe when you started the business, you have a very high patronage. But as the business goes along, the patronage has dropped. But within your value chain, you will be able to know, why has this happened? Why is it that suddenly those that were buying from me have stopped buying? Why is it that they have stopped coming to my shop? This has to do with your value chain. This has to do with how you package your product. Now, let me cite example again with a common one around us. We have these seaway waters. And you know that seaway waters is highly valued. People always look forward to seaway water because they feel, oh, it's hygienic enough, it's drinkable, it's something you can take along at the rest of them. But I tell you that even their containers, some of them are so dirty and rough that because of that, in a particular shop, if your seaway water is always looking dirty, I won't like there, I won't come there, I won't branch, I won't buy. Rather, I could look for where their seaway water bottle is neat. Because when you are drinking it, you feel you get a kind of fulfillment from the bottle because it's looking neat. But maybe the same content is inside, yes. But again, the appearance of the bottle is the same kind of company, is the same brand, but one is looking dirty. So if you are a seller and you stock your seaway water in your premises, you are selling it, and you see people driving past, they are going to buy the same seaway water in a different shop. You find out why is your own not being bought. Because this has to do with the whole value chain system. You are not the one producing the water. Remember, you're already buying it from somewhere. But sometimes you might fall into the production level that yes, you are the one producing it. And sometimes too, you may have even one or two or more products that you are stocked. So this is what value chain model is all about. Now let's watch this video.
Meet Gil. Gil lives in East Timor and works as a farmer. His family suffers from low income and poor living conditions as Timorese horticulture farming provides a very low return. Gil can only cover his own needs instead of selling his harvest. He's worried. Despite working hard day and night, Gil can't make enough money to support his family. Meet Amivi. She is a researcher for the International Labour Organization. Amivi wants to understand why Gil and other Timorese farmers cannot support a better livelihood. Amivi sets out to find what's in the way of better jobs in East Timor's horticulture sector. But how? She takes a closer look at how horticulture products get to market and the roles that farmers, traders, wholesalers and other actors, as well as supporting functions and rules play in the process. In doing so, Amivi applies the value chain development approach. First, she tries to understand how the market works by talking to different market players and understanding their roles and needs. Doing this, she determines one of the obstacles preventing higher productivity: the farmer's lack of knowledge about modern cultivation techniques. Amivi discovered that this information was exchanged in larger, more central markets. But Gil had no access. So Amivi looks for possible market-led solutions. She finds Erin, a specialized distributor nearby, who is interested in expanding her business. Amivi proposes a deal. Erin agrees to provide training and sell quality inputs to farmers, and in exchange buys back their produce at a fair price. This improves the supply of information about cultivation techniques and the benefits of high-quality inputs. It allows Erin to grow her distribution network and increase profits from additional sales of inputs and aggregated produce. What's more, the agreement increases productivity by creating new market relationships that better enable smallholder produce to get to market. So what was the key to success? Instead of proposing a short-term quick fix, Amivi uncovered the root cause of the problem by understanding the system and, together with its key players, found solutions for making the whole value chain work better. This resulted in increased income as well as better quality of work for Gil and other Timorese farmers, as well as other actors in the value chain. Cooperating with governments and NGOs worldwide, the ILO has applied this approach in many countries and sectors with sustainable success. Value Chain Development by the International Labour Organization.
What did you learn from that video? Now we have watched the video. That video is actually looking at the value chain, how it works in small ways. Now, haven't watched it. What did you learn from that video?
Okay, Ma, we have a reply from Bosa Anthony. So he said he learned from the video that collaboration is key to success, and doing groundwork is also necessary to improve understanding of the whole process. And then Patricia is also begging that to play the video again for better understanding.
Thank you. Yes, it is good to collaborate, because at the time you saw that farmer doing it alone, he was finding it a little bit difficult to meet up with what is required. But there is another thing too, I think we should have seen. The woman that came in, that is the receptionist, it was not the farmer that went looking for her. It wasn't the farmer that went looking. She, on her own part, was looking for a missing link. where she can come into and contribute her own value. So if you are looking for a business, you want to set up a business, it is not all the time you wait for the business to come and locate you. Look out for a missing link among even others that are already doing this business. So having said this, we're going back to our presentation to continue from where we stop. Now, going with our presentation, let me share my screen back. Now, let us look at, for this, one, we have been able to identify the missing link. Secondly, you must carry out a research within your work. That was the role that woman played in that video we watched, carrying out a research. So why is it very important for us to carry out research? Like yesterday, one of the facilitators did mention when we talk about market research and marketing research. Because before you start your business, you need to carry out a market research. While you are within the business, you have to still carry out your marketing research because you need to know what is playing out in between for you to carry along and know how you come in into a business. You need some support that will help drive your business. And in looking for such support, you need to look out for who can actually help you achieve what you want to achieve in your own business. So that support has to come in. Now, we can map our value chain. In value chain, you look at where profit is going to shift over time. And in this, you must be calculating. Right now, you see a lot of people are going into agric. Everybody is shifting to agric. But if you are not calculative enough, you may go into agric and go into it wrongly. You must be able to understand the total value chain within the agric process you want to go into. You must be able to understand it. And understanding that process,
there is people on it, and how I think that they have already given a part payment.
So in this case, it is very, very important that the people to a particular that it is not 100% that that business is going to survive or that business will actually say true. It's not 100%. So you have some percentage of probability, and you need to walk through some of those percentages of probability. It is because of this some people normally advocate. Yes, it's good to look through the value chain, because when you are talking about value chain, it will come into your spending in the business as well, where you want to know which of my business I want to really invest in, which of them will I give more attention to. You need to look into what you have in your value chain. But while doing this, remember, that probability may not be 100% correct. Then what influence is that probability going to have in your business? Because you are predicting, you are assuming. And in your assumption and prediction, remember that if it is not well predicted, it will affect your business negatively. But if it is well predicted, it will affect it positively. So how do you measure this? How do you tally it to ensure that your probability or your assumption or your prediction at least is near correction? The only way you can do that is to have a full understanding of the value chain of the kind of business you want to go into. Having a full understanding of the likely challenges that that business will have at each stage of the activities within the value chain. Once you are able to get this through, then your probability or your prediction will be likely maybe 85, 99%. Now you have to determine the drivers. If now you are saying, oh, agri product is what is going to sell now, what are those things that is making you to know that it's agri that will sell? Now some persons have come up to say, well, you know, before now, all these big shops, they import tomatoes from abroad, which was true. All the ShopRite and the other big malls. But today, because we have banned importation, no more importation of tomatoes in, now I know if I go into growing tomatoes, it will work. Yes, fine. So for you that is intermediary, that's okay, they need tomatoes. But these people that are growing tomatoes, they need maybe, for example, maybe organic fertilizer or inorganic fertilizer. So your own might be supplying them the fertilizers they will need. You are not into the farm, but you are supplying them fertilizer. Or your own might be, after everything is done, it is packaged and the rest. You have some other company that will carry the tomatoes, produce the tomatoes, turn it into paste. Your own is to buy it in the paste form and then take it up there. So it is now your duty to look at the behavior of all the drivers that will follow that, the product you want to sell. That will help you determine what you need to do. That is for that. Before I give time for question and answering, we have to look at the basic accounting principles. When you're looking at the basic accounting principle, there are principles that have to cover now we have known the value chain. We know where we fall into in our business, and we need to really think and pull down to know where exactly we are in the business. Having known that, the next thing for us has to do with how we keep our records in business. Some of us have been in business for years, and yes, we keep our records. But the way we keep our records sometimes may not have been right, and because of that, we may not even know that some money is already going down the drain. And sometimes, because of the way we keep records, we are not comfortable to allow another person to have access to our record to help us audit what we are doing. Because sometimes you might think, yes, you are keeping your record right. But if somebody who is into accounting comes in to look at your record, it might observe one or two things that if you have done it, it would have made your recording better. So in this regard, yes, we may have been keeping our records in different way we choose to keep it. But for those of us that are already into business, I just want to kind of review and help us remember those things we need to do. And for those that are coming in newly, these are areas of concern that you must look into. Most especially that now you want to take a loan. And as you want to obtain a loan, the way you manage your finance matters a lot. And what are these principles? These are key principles that cut across all accounting principles. Whether you are doing it as a small business in a very small way, or you are a big company, or you are a conglomerate, these are accounting principles that cut across everywhere. And how does it work? This principle, you're looking at, first, we're looking at the historical cost principle. What is this cost telling us? What it's saying in effect is that if you have an asset or you have a liability, an asset is a gain for you in your business. Liability is your spending in the business. Your asset is your gain, while the liability is your spending in the business. Now, what this principle is saying, that have a record of your assets and your costs in their original form. What that means is that at the time you were coming into the business, at the start of your business, you may have had an asset. Let's say, for example, the place you are using, the rent, at that time, maybe you rented a shop, you rented that shop for 2,000 naira in a year. That is what you are paying for that shop. What this is saying in the accounting principle, that 2,000, put it down in your accounting book. It's likely that after 10 years, you have been in that same business. Or after 5 years, you have been in that same business. You are still using the same accommodation. You are still using the same premises. It's likely that the price for that accommodation may have increased to 10,000 naira from your 2,000. The recording principle says, do not change it. Still leave that 2,000, because you know when you started it with 2,000. Don't change it. The same thing with other liabilities that you may need to have, because as you are paying for that rent, it's a liability to you. But let's assume that place that you are booting your business, that same shop, you didn't rent it. That same shop, it was an inheritance. or it's part of your house that you are using. But remember, you must give it a cost. You must give it a value. Even though it's your personal house, you must still give it a value. So if it is your personal house, you just carve out a place. Yeah, this is what I'm using. Yes, it's an asset to you because you own it. But however, you must put a value to it. Then the one you have spent money on too, you put a value to it. But the amount you spend on it at that time, you must record it in this original form. Even when times are changing, don't change it because it will help you to build, and on the long run, you'll be able to know where you have actually made some gain and where you have run into loss. Then the second principle says, revenue recognition principle. Record all your revenue only when it is earned. This is very common among us. Let me cite an example with those of us that are into buying and selling. And for those of us that sell on credit, we normally make mistake in our recording when it comes to this. Now you have imported some goods. Maybe you imported cars and you have received about 50 Mercedes-Benz shipped into the country. And out of the 50 Mercedes-Benz, within 3 months, about 30 has gone. They have bought them from you, but they have not dropped money. The cars were bought in January and you were not paid. You didn't receive 10 kobo until maybe April. The accounting principle says at the time you are taking your accounting for January, you are taking your accounting for February, you are taking your accounting for March, you should not add that money to what you have already gained for those months because the money is not physically with you yet. The person is still owing you. Remember, some of them may default. And if they default, do you have the money? No. And let me come to the little sales we normally have within us. Some of us, we do buying and selling of earrings, clothes, material, shoes, and we sell on credit. When we sell on credit, they start calculating their money in the air. They say, I have this amount, but the amount is not here with you. The accounting principle says, such money, don't record it yet as money you have earned. Because you have not earned it. The money has not come into your business. You have not earned it for that month. Until when the payment is made, that is the money you have earned. If I walked into your shop, I buy something from you, and I give you cash, you have earned that money. But if the money has not come into your hand, you have not earned the money. So when you are doing your accounting principle, you are writing down the things you need to buy or the things you have sold, ensure that it is what you have received money on. Either you have received a lot, it's already in your account credited, that is what you record to show that this is what I have sold for this month. Don't calculate the one people are still owing you. You have not sold that for that month. It's still pending. Yes, it's no more in your shop. The stock is no more in your shop, but the value for it has not come to you. Until you receive the value in terms of the monetary value that you have sold that your goods, it has not come to you. Then again, the next principle says matching principle. Match all your expenses with their respective revenue. Match all expenses with their respective revenue. I still go back to the cars. If while that person was importing those cars and incur some expenses along the line, incur those expenses because of car, up to the drink he would have taken if he's thirsty. Maybe while he has gone to do clearance, in the clearing house, he's thirsty, you bought a drink. It's an expenses that is incurred to that car. So those expenses must be calculated along with the car, though you are going to make money out of it. Because at the time you sell the car, remember that all the expenses incurred while in the process of purchase before you sold the car is going to be added to that car. So you know that you are going to minus the expenses from the revenue you are going to get from it. And in this instance, you discover that if you have so many things in your shop, because in some cases, I'm talking with the SMEs now, you may not be dealing with just one product. You may be dealing on maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 products. If you are dealing with such number of products, remember that each product, you may have expenses that is incurred to each of these products. You know what some of us do is to use one to cover the other. You will say the money I make from this, that is what is sustaining this shop. The other one is just there in case visitors, the customers are coming to request for it. No, you have to be careful. Yes, you could allow some of those things to be there, but however, you have to play down on the stock you are having there, because you cannot continue to use the income coming from one product to be running that all through for a long time. At a point, if you discover that it's not really moving, you step it down and concentrate on the ones that are moving. So for those of us that are already in business, after this session, you're going to let me know which of such you have experienced while in your business, that at a point you have to drop, at a point you have to increase, at a point, because there are times you may even find some people asking for what is not even in stock. And in that you can shift and let the expenses go to what will give you more gain. Now, the last one here, we talk about full disclosure principle. Disclose every knowledge that is likely to affect the financial statement users at the footnote. If you are the owner, when you are starting a business, most cases you are the only one there, no other person. But if you put down a good accounting principle, at the time you are having employees, so you have a sales girl, you have a sales where you have people working with you, coming to help you records, and they keep on to that record. When you come, it will help you take a better decision. For example, if you say first FIF, first in, first out, that means you have a product stock in your shop and it's mandatory. The product you bought first must be the first product that will be sold before the new product. You sold the old one before the new. If that is it, then if your recording is right and is following the disclosure, maybe the process of that record, they discover that there are some products, the old product, they've already expired. It's because of this process that you find when a product is about a month to expiry date, you see that they will bring them out to the front of the shop and start putting it on auction. They want people to buy them up fast. At that point, they are no longer looking at it to be sold and the amount is supposed to have been sold. This time around, they are now selling them off because they don't want it to be a bad debt within the financial year or period. So when you have such, you must include it at the foot of your statement that, well, we have some products that we could not sell at the right time with the right price because they were already getting out of outdated. So because of that, you have to reduce the price or you have to dispose them of, because if something has expired, there is no way you can give it to customer. You could be sued for that. So these are things you put there, and that will help the person that is going to use that accounting procedure. And most times we should always look beyond just me, because today you may be running your business just alone, you plus 2 other staff, or you plus 3 other staff. But remember that that business is going to grow over time. And as it grows over time, you are going to have more. If you don't have good accounting system, even when you grow, it still affects. And that is why sometimes you see some big business, they even fold up because of lack of good accounting system. Now, the next one we need to look at in the area of the accounting principle has to do with cost benefits principle. This is very vital because it helps us to take decision. In every activity of your business, you need to analyze, add a cost to every activity you do, every activity. And that's still boiled down to you knowing your value chain. Because if you are going to buy something and you want to resell, fine, list out all the activity that it will take you for you going to purchase, for you bringing it back to resell. And once you have listed them out, attach monetary value to each of the activities. And at the end, it is that monetary value that will help you to know where you need to invest more. Because it is the monetary value that you are now comparing, because that will help you justify the benefit. In all, if you really want to look at it, why do you go into business? Because you want to make money. You want more profit. So every activity you have, you must turn it to a monetary value. Now, let me cite example with this. If, for example, you own a shop and now you have 2 staff and you intend to increase your sales you are buying more products. You say, well, I want to get 2 additional staff. Have you found out if the 2 additional staff you are bringing in is worthwhile? How would you know? Attach monetary value. How much is it that it costs them to work in X and Y hour? So if you put in the value that it costs them to work in X and Y hours, and you consider the benefit, what they are going to bring out, their outputs, then you now consider the cost where you sell the goods. Are they going to sell more? Is it going to increase more than what you used to sell? If it is not, why don't you still retain the 2 staff and let them take charge of what they are doing? And even if you need to add something to their salary, it might just be a stipend you add it to their salary, that would be better than you bringing more staff. Because you have first of business, they fail because they have more staff more than what they need. And when you are starting, don't start at a very big range, carrying so many staff at a time, because you must be able to walk through. And sometimes, like I mentioned earlier on, at the point of starting, you discover that your vision, your big goal may not really work out the way you have planned it, because as you are moving, there will be some stumbling block on the way. There will be some challenges on the way. And those challenges, you need to remove them. And sometimes may not be as easy. So before you start making real money, it might have taken you up to a year or thereabout. So because of this, you must do your cost benefit analysis to know exactly where you need to fall into. Now, the conservatism principle, this guides you on how to record uncertain events and estimates. Sometimes there are events that are uncertain. You don't know whether it will come. It may not. Fire may just come now and burn somebody's shop. These are events you don't really know, but it can come, it might not come. And that is where you talk about insuring your business. So right now, you must insure your business. Look for a way that your risk can be shared somewhere. So you will not be the only one that will carry all the risk. Supposing something happened. And when that risk occurs, in the accounting principle, you are still going to take note of it. And when you are budgeting your money, like now you are going to take a loan. When you take your loan, you are going to set aside some money. I think somebody asked that question yesterday. For that risk that might likely come up. Because if it comes up, how are you going to bear it? And how are you going to sustain it? Sometimes some of us have even have insurance company to cover our business. But when the event happens, at the time they are saying, so, oh, how did the fire come? They come with their principle. Maybe you might not get as much as you're supposed to have gotten from the insurance company. So you must have a good understanding. And in your accounting principle, you must detail those things you feel that are likely to come up to destroy your business. Now there must be consistency, because the accounting principle, one of them that is consistency. Be consistent in the application of your accounting principle and assumptions. Don't jump here and there. You let your assumption be consistent. If you are using a particular principle, be consistent with it. Don't, like now you want to do your cost benefit analysis and you feel this, I'm attributing all the cost to every activity. Fine. If that is what you want to go with it. And you have an assumption. Your assumption is that, well, I will always have my supplies. Fine, go with it. But even at that, remember, it's not all the time that supply may come. Sometimes it may not be due to the fault of your suppliers. Might be something may just happen, like the COVID that we are passing through now, may have just happened. And the person goods are just stuck somewhere and he could not bring in the goods and deliver to you. So we must be consistent with the kind of principle we choose. And you must be objective. Your financial statement, accounting record, should be independent and free of bias. Don't do it the way it is. Don't be biased with it. Don't adjust records, because it will help you take a better decision. Don't have an assumption. Some of us, we prepare our account on the assumption that somebody has promised me this. Somebody said it will help me improve this. Don't put your accounting principle based on such assumption. And don't put your accounting principle based on biases. You must put it exactly what the principle says it is, not on somebody else's opinion. Because you own your business, you know what you are facing in the business. So somebody, what might have worked in one business may not work in your own business. So understand your business and know the accounting principle that will fall in true. Now, there are some key accounting assumptions. And these accounting assumptions are germane in our business. One, monetary unit assumption. Record all financial assumption as in a stable currency. If you want to use Naira, yes, you are an importer and exporter. That is your business. A big tycoon. You export, you import. Don't record some in Naira and record some in pounds and record some in a dollar. Now you may ask me the question, supposing, yes, I have some dollar business. Fine, convert everything into one single currency. If you are bringing in anything or somebody has bought some things from you in dollar and you will accept the dollar, convert the dollar to the Naira in which you have started your accounting principle. If you want to be working with dollar or you want to be working with pounds, that is what you want to be doing. And you're an international business person and you feel that if I'm using dollar, it cut across all over, I will be able to measure the fall and the gain or whatever. Fine, that is nice, but make sure that every currency that is coming into that your business, you now convert it to dollar, because it will be easier for you to compare notes where you are using a single currency in your principle. Now you look at the periodic of assumption. You must have a time you check your books. It might be it is you that is doing all your recording alone, fine, but you must set out a time whereby you bring out all the books you have been recording and reconcile the records. And if you cannot do this, sometimes we are into business, we are not knowledgeable in accounting, fine, nothing is wrong, nothing is bad. This one you are getting now is just okay, sensitize you. Look for somebody who is strong in finance that will help you look through those records. And helping you to look through those records, it will save you a great deal in your business. Just open the records and the person will help you look at it. You may pay the person. It may be that you may not even pay. Maybe you say you network, because that's why we talk about networking in business. You have a partner is strong in accounting. You are maybe strong in something else. Then you can share, or maybe you contribute to each other's business with what you have, with the skill you have. So it will help you look into it. And what time do you set? What should be the standard form? You can decide to look into your account every 4 months, every 3 months, but most cases we talk about quarterly or every year. For a business that is just starting, I would not recommend every year. A year is too long for you to look into your accounts. You can do it every 3 months. You look at your accounts and see how it's operating, so that if there is any shortfall, you can easily identify it and you can easily know where you need to bridge up so your accounting system to move on. Now, there are other fundamental accounting concepts and constraints that come in when we are doing business. The first one is business entity concepts. You and your business are two different persons. You are not the same. Some persons' business have failed because they manage the business as if this is money in my pocket. That your business, let me use the household business that most of us usually go into, especially the women. You sell oil, you sell granules, you sell rice, you sell beans, you have them in your shop. Now, when it is time for lunch, there is no food. They tell no food. They say, yeah, go and measure 2 cups there. Put it on the fire. Okay, there is no oil. Take some oil there. Put it, and you cook and you eat. You are running into a dangerous act. Because before you know it, that your business will just go down. You say, but that is why we are feeding from now. No, you can't feed from there. You and your business are different. buy from it. If you want to buy the rice that you will be eating at home, go there, measure what you want to measure. You are buying it, take it to the kitchen. That is for use. And it's not that somebody comes to greet you because you have mineral in your freezer or in the fridge. That is where you are selling. You just open and you offer the person. No. Except you know you want to buy from it. If you know you don't have the money there, just be calm. If it is water, give to the person to drink. Because remember, that business is separate from you. And you must be able to give yourself salary. No matter how small your business is. And that will help to control your spending. Sometimes too, it may not just be you and your business. It could be business versus business. Let me use this for example. Maybe in your business, you sell kerosene, and in another area, you are selling foodstuff. Treat kerosene that you are selling different from the foodstuff. They are not the same. So that the money that is coming from the kerosene, you treat it separately. The one that is coming from your foodstuff, treat it separately. Don't combine them together. Because at the time you pull them together, you won't know when you are running into a loss in one. At the time you may be discovering it might be too late. Then secondly, going concern concept. That is another fundamental accounting concept that you consider. Treat your business as if it will continue forever. Don't treat your business as if it's going to stop today. You know, some of us, we come into business and say, well, since there is nothing happening for now, they said there is loan. Let me go and take it as a stepping stone. And because you have made up your mind that this business, I'm taking it as a stepping stone, as a springboard. It's not that I really want it to strive. If that you come up with that kind of mindset, that business is likely to fail. But if you come up with the mindset of that business, that this business will outlive me, this business is going to stay for a long time, it's not going to die soon, then the business, you will be able to think wide, you will be able to think of the sustainability, how you want to sustain that business monetarily for the business to move on. Again, you look at the materiality concept. Record everything that you will help you in the financial statements. You take decision, but do not record events that are insignificant to the investor or the creditor. For example, if in your recording of the accounting procedure, you have some bad debt you've already written off. And how will that bad debt be written off? If the profit you have made covered it, then let it go. You don't need to reflect it in your accounting principle. Let me break it further. Let's assume, for example, you have ordered some goods. Let me still go back to the Mercedes-Benz. You ordered 50 Mercedes-Benz, brand new, and you sold them. But unfortunately, during the process of delivery, one had accidents, and it was beyond repair. But after your sales, the money you made, maybe one of such Mercedes was just 1,000 naira, an assumption. And now you have made about 30,000 naira. After all your expenses and everything, you have a lot of money. So you can easily just write off that 1,000, which means it did not really affect your business, so to say. So in this case, you may not need to reflect it in your accounting procedure because you have been able to write it off. That is what the accounting concept is saying. Then the last part here says, industry practice constraint. There are some companies, they do not really follow this accounting procedure strictly. There are some, because of the kind of business you are doing, you need to record your liability first before you have, because there are some of us who even go in, our asset is more or less not there. It's from the liability we are able to create our asset. So instead of giving attention to the asset, you give attention to the liability for you to be able to create assets. So at this point, I'm going to stop for a while. I want you to share your experience in the area of accounting procedure. I'm saying okay, that you expend out of the business. So once you are into a business, you need to identify what your assets are, what are the gains that come into the business, and what are the expenses that you expend out of the business. And in this regard, what we are saying is that in that principle, he said at the point you are entering the business, enter your assets and your liability at its original form over the period of the business. Because you may come into the business, at the time of entry, you may discover that the assets you have at the time of entry may appreciate over time. And sometimes it may not go in that order, it may depreciate over time. But what the principle is saying, that irrespective of the changes that may have occurred over the period of time, let the cost that you have started it with remain in your records. Do not change it. Because at the point, we are going to calculate depreciation. And there is a point too that you're going to attribute that cost. Let me use the house as an example. You have a shop, either rented or owned shop. You built it. There is a cost that you will be attached to that place that you are selling your goods. If you have spent money building it for yourself, let's assume you spend about 5,000 naira, an assumption, to build that shop. And you use the shop for 10 years. Over the years, you are going to now calculate the amount of that 5,000 you use in building it over the period. Because as you are using that house, remember, depreciation will be setting into the house. But what the accounting principle is saying, that even when that shop, maybe after 5 years, you have used it in business, now get to 10 million, it's not selling for 10 million. When you want to calculate for that particular year, you will not use 10 million because you will started it with that 5,000. That is the 5,000 you will still use at that time for your recording. This is for your recording principle, not for any other thing. Just cut across with your recording principle. I don't know if I've been able to clarify it. But when you walk along, as we move along later in accounting principle, maybe by tomorrow also, when you are dealing with real accounting, whether you are looking at asset liability, looking at fixed cost and the rest of them, where you are doing your financial accounting as from tomorrow or thereabout, you're going to see more of these things coming in. But these are just basic principles that will take you on, that will walk you through.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, so let's continue. Now, let's look at the importance of accounting principles. Why do we want to leverage on these accounting principles? Why are we working with them? One, it will help you establish a framework for your financial accounting. You see, in your business, you can set up your own framework. Because when you understand your accounting principle, my accounting, the way I have my assets coming in, I spend, my liability might be different from another person's business. So if I'm able to understand my monetary value in my business and apply, I'll be able to know how to apply the accounting principle. It will help me to make a better decision. And the way you make your decisions tend to make or mar your business. So accounting principle is very vital when it comes to preparing your financial statement. Then it helps you set your rule for reporting. Like somebody that was trying to ask a question, the only thing I heard before I had issue with the internet, I heard the person mentioning my sales girl. I wouldn't know what exactly he wanted to say. But you discover that if you have a good accounting principle in place, it will help you checkmate your sales girls and your sales boys or any other person that is helping you to handle your money in your absence. It will help you checkmate. But if your accounting principle is not right, they will just be stealing you. You won't know. At the time you get to know, your shop is almost empty. So it helps you to have a good reporting system. Because as your business grows, there is no way you can be in your business there 24 hours. It's not possible. But if you have a good accounting system in place, it will help you checkmate what is happening. And if there is a shortfall, you will know. If you have a good accounting principle, you say that it is difficult for anybody, your employee, to cheat you irrespective of the kind of business you are doing. Then it guides your decision. It helps you to know what you need to invest on at a time, how you need to checkmate, sometimes the kind of customers you even need to attract. And if your customers are at a point, maybe going down below, you need to find out why. Because sometimes your accounting principle are the things that will tell you all this. And it helps to compare companies. For example, if you want to find out, which company is really doing so well, it's from the accounting principle. By the time you bring out your statement of accounts, at the end of the year, you bring out your balance sheet, I will be able to compare company A to company B. And let me tell you this. Now you are going to prepare your business plan. If you heard what we had told yesterday from the facilitator that came from NISA, and somebody asked a question, is it everyone that applied for this loan that will get it? His response was, no, not everyone. Because they are going to look at some of these things, your accounting principle. Because there is a part in your business plan that is going to detail your accounting principles. And it is there they will know and compare to see whether this is a viable business, whether you have a good grip of managing your business, whether that business is a business that can equally be given attention to or not. So these are things they will consider. You won't be there, but they are looking at your records. They are looking at your monetary value. They are looking at your monetary presentation. So it's going to be used to compare and it helps to bring in a kind of uniformity on what you need to gain in your business. Now, let us look at record keeping, because all this grammar we have been speaking since, if you do not have records, there is no way you can put money or give money to say this record, you have this product, this is the monetary, you cannot give any monetary value to it. So your record keeping is germane in your business. Your record keeping is very important in your business. And how do you keep records? There are different ways you could keep records. And in your keeping of records, first, it depends on the kind of business you are going into. For example, like right now in this section, you discover that we have separated the section. Like those that are agribusiness, the way they will keep their record is different from you that is in SME. If I have a poultry, the way I will keep my poultry record is different from the way I will keep the stock I have on my shelf. So in this regard, if you are a businessman or a woman, depends on the kind of business you are going into. If it is buying and selling, you must take care of your stock. You must know the number of stock that you have in your shelf. And you must be able to identify the day you brought them in, even to the expiry date. You must have a good record of it. Because if you don't know the expiry date of your product, that is where you get some product already expired in the shelf before you get to know the distributor. Sometimes it's even the customer that will call your attention. Look at the milk I bought. This thing has expired. I didn't know. Sorry, ma. It's not good enough. Because once 1-2 customer gets that from your shop, it's killing that shop. So your record keeping must be right. Your record keeping must be apt. And you must have a book. Start it small. If you cannot go into buying the software for record keeping, no problem. Just get a book. Have a book that you can use in keeping your record. Let's even start from our home front. If you ask the women in our midst, how much do you spend on feeding in a month? Do you know that some of us, we don't really know how much we spend on feeding in a month? Reason being that we do not keep records. We go to shop, we buy things, we just buy this. When you get home, you throw away the receipts. Instead of you to capture the receipt and records, that will give you and guide you how you spend your money. But we don't do that. So in your record keeping, first and foremost, identify all your activities in your business, then create a portion for them. Then you can now amount how you transact with those activities and record each of them. Now you can rule a book. If it's your sales girl, your sales boy, or if you have other shops somewhere else, how you get to give those records. So if you keep your record adequately, it will help to straighten your financial transaction. We'll talk more on record keeping in future, maybe by tomorrow or next or thereabout. We're going to talk more to see what and what you need to keep your record. So before we call it a close, I want more questions and I want more contributions from us. I want us to share from our experience. Some of us have been into business and we have had challenges with our record keeping. We have had some challenges with our finances, how we keep our finances and the rest of them. Please, can you just speak up and let us share with one another? So